But in case this is the way, it's a good way to do it. All right, so let's get started on chapter one. Chapter one's got a lot of shit in it. And first and foremost, it's like, what is statistics? Why does my cap keep falling off? Off the screen. All right, at any point, if I'm off the screen, let me know. Like, it's really easy to go off the screen and I still got plenty of room to write. And I don't always know it. So let me know. And if I go too fast, let me know. I try to look around the room before I turn a page or move the page to make sure no one's still writing. I get impatient sometimes. And I try to go at a pace where you're like, you have time to write what I'm writing and not have to do the whole page. So what are statistics? Statistics are a numerical summary of the data regarding a sample of the population. There's another word that means pretty close to the same thing, but it's slightly different. So I want to say it right now and point out the difference. We also have a parameter. A parameter is a numerical summary of the data regarding the entire population. Now, one of these seems a hell of a lot more useful than the other if you identify the difference. A sample of the population means, like, if I wanted to take a sample as like a small group of the big body. Like if I wanted a sample of summer students at COS, I could ask my 3 classes that I'm teaching this summer. There's bad reasons for doing that, which I'll discuss later, but it would be a sample. And I can ask them a bunch of questions and I can summarize that data and figure out like some information. Or I could just get the information from the entire population. And then I know for certain whatever I want to know. If I ask just my class, well, it's summer classes. It doesn't really represent all COS, and it's math classes. I'm teaching, they're only statistics classes. It doesn't give like a whole lot of information about the overall population of its own. Parameter would. If I had the parameter, I'd know everything I need. It'd be done. Good deal. What's the problem with the parameter? It's a lot of people. There's like 15,000 students in COS. I'd have to like email all of them and hope to fucking God they all responded. Like I can't have a survey in class and expect everyone in the class to respond, let alone the entire population of COS. So it's a lot of data. It takes a lot of time to gather. I'd have to like maybe, I don't know, even registration you can do online, so I can't even like get them in person when they sign up. It's kind of hard to get. Statistics though, if I ask my classes, well, I can at least ask the people that show up, and I can make it so you don't leave until you give me it. I'm gonna teach you shit for the rest of the day until you fill out the survey kind of thing. And if you don't do it, well, then you didn't learn the lesson. My bad. Your bad. So, parameter is really useful, but it's hard to get the data. Statistics is really easy, much easier to get the data, but it's less useful. So that's a key difference, but since one of them is easy to get, and usually if you do it right, if I pick the right groups of people to sample, like if I sample like students throughout the campus during the day and in the evening as well for summer, I could hit various buildings and people in different classes, and I could get a good sample of the summer students at COS. I could. It would take more time, it would take more work, but it's definitely easier than asking 15,000 students what they think. Okay? So there's a reason for it. And then, let's see. The problem with the statistics is we want to say something. Some idea or theory about the entire population, not the sample. So what we do, it's called inference. We infer something that's kind of like say something. We infer something about the population using the sample. Which I am going to be so bold as to say, this is wrong 100% of the time. But it gets really close. And sometimes negligibly close. If I calculated you should get $1,000,001, and instead, well, let's go $1,009, and instead you got $1,002, you guys skipped $7 for inaccuracy. Are you really brokenhearted? Is the $7 really important when we're talking about $1 million? No, it's not important. So the idea is statistics, if we do it right, we get close enough that for all intents and purposes, we got what we want. If we can't get close enough, we could at least get a number range around it. Like if I wanted to say this I could do with COS without, let me pick a different question. I can't do this without asking students. Do you like using Netflix? I could find what population or what percentage of my sample says, yes, I like Netflix. Now, let's say it's, 67%. Let me write this down. I'm talking about writing. So, example. I ask a sample of students about if they like Netflix. %67 say yes. And it was probably like 66.97, a bunch of decimal places, but we rounded to 67. I rounded to 67. Chances are the entire population is like 67%, or whatever the exact decimal value was, or the percentage I had, is small. The 60% with rounding is possible. But if I do it right, I could say, I don't know, 64% to 70% like Netflix. I could have it where it's 62% to 72% like Netflix. The point is there is some percentage range where the likely value of the population is in that range, and it's based on like this area around what we got from the sample. Now we will explore like where we get these numbers near the end of the semester, like the last week. Last week for us, like last 4 or 5 weeks in a regular semester. Last week for us. There's some math behind how we pick these values. I randomly said it because I don't have any data here. I'm just making shit up as I go. But there's a way to mathematically determine what the right percentage range is to give based on how many people you sample and stuff like that, and we will cover that. The point is that this is a valid statement about the population. If I was talking about students about the population. And I can ask students, that's the idea of stats. So let's skip past the idea of stats and let's talk about some of the more useful stuff in it. I can ask all sorts of questions. And they fall in 2 main categories. We have qualitative, which is also categorical. And we have quantitative. They kind of have some useful words in it if you can like pull apart the name. Does qualitative look like a word that you know? It looks like quality, right? Quality or trait. Does quantitative look like a word you might know? Quantity or amount. So what are things that fit in these categories?
So like the quality one, or like trait ones, like be like more in depth, like larger questions, and then the quantitative would be like multiple, like.
It depends. You can have in-depth questions that are quantitative. It depends on what you mean by in-depth.
Like, would qualitative be like one big question, and it gives you like as like a set of like data, asks you to find out?
Not so much that. It's in what type of response you get. The categories are based on the response you get from the person.
So like what color is your house versus?
What color of your house, where does that fit?
Qualitative.
Qualitative would be color. Color of anything, your hair, your house, your car, your glasses if you have them. I guess car and house if you have them, not everybody has either of those. Quantitative would be.
Like how many cars do you have?
How many cars you have. So maybe we'll put color of car here, And then like, how many cars? That's actually a fun question. In larger classes where more students show up, I ask, because I usually do it, I think it's chapter 2, it might be chapter 2. We might be doing it on Monday, shit, we'll find out. But I generally ask, and it's normally, the response is somewhere between 0 and 3. Every once in a while, you get someone that's like, we got 8. Like, where the fuck do you park 8 cars? You're like a hillbilly? You got this shit all on your lawn? What the hell is going on? How do you park 8 cars? They own a fucking big piece of land that's got a large driveway. I don't know. So you get some crazy questions. So like, color of your car, where did you go to school? Where were you born? Things like this. These always have numbers as answers. Quantity always has a number as an answer. Always a number.
Qualitative can have numbers too, right? Like what year were you born?
I'm getting there, you're right. You're very much right. I'm getting there though. I'd rather mention the quantitative ones, where they are. There's several things that we can use qualitative for numbers. So number doesn't guarantee it's a quantitative value. The thing you have to be able to do is you got to be able to use it as math. Use math shit on it. Like age. We could figure out, if I ask a bunch of people what age they are, I could find the average age by adding them up and dividing by the number of people, and that makes sense. Other numbers that I can get from people are like, maybe like, what's your social security number, or what's your phone number? Does it make any sense to add up either of those? Like, can you add phone numbers together? You can't, like, some numbers you can't do, it doesn't make sense to do math. You like come up with some nonsense shit. So quantitative ones are things we can do math on. And then this can be numbers, but it's the non-math operations ones. Your phone number, your area code, your zip code. I was gonna say year you were born, because it seemed kind of weird to add up the years you were born and divide by it, but you could find effectively the average year people were born. It's kind of silly. You would more like find the average age, but that's the equivalent of the average year. I'm gonna leave the year out of it. That's like one of those, I don't want to touch that shit. Social security number. The quantitative comes in a couple different flavors of itself. Quantitative numbers can be discrete, which means they are countable. I have 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars. I don't have 1.7 cars. That's idiotic. You get whole numbers when I say countable, I mean you're getting like whole numbers. Then there's continuous data. This is things that you measure. Sometimes you don't necessarily think of them as measurements. Distance is clearly something you measure. You can get a meter stick or a yardstick or a ruler. We also measure time. I could use a stopwatch and measure time. We could measure weight. things like that. Something where we don't necessarily end up with a whole number. Countable doesn't mean easily countable. The number of hairs you have on your head is countable. Probably not without yanking out all your hair and doing them one at a time, but still, that would take a really long time. That's a lot of hair, right? It'd take, well, a lot of hair for some people. It'd take a really long time for most people. Not worth doing. Like leaves on a tree. You could count the leaves on a tree. You could technically do it without pulling the leaves off, because they're generally far enough apart that you could, like, maybe, I don't know, mark them, as you know. But what are you talking about? Like 50,000 leaves? You start going, nope, not doing this. But you could. That's not something you're going to measure, though. Distance also includes things like height, not just like how far you go, but like how tall you are, things like that. Age is one of those, I'm gonna put a dark bar there. You could kind of put it in either category. Let's be honest. Most of us, when we say our age, we say the number of years rounded down. If you are 18 and your 19th birthday is tomorrow, you are 18. You're not 19, you're 18. We round all the way down to the lowest whole number. So that would be like a discrete thing, but technically you're 18 years and 364 out of 365. I could write it as a fraction, I could write it as a decimal if we wanted to be accurate. So you could argue age falls into either category. Just to keep it in mind, some things go in both spots. So these are the types of data we have. Some of these are, as we'll see in a little bit, some of these are just things we observe. I don't need to ask you your hair color to know if it's blonde or brown or red, as long as I can see you. If I can't see you, I obviously need to ask. Some things you have to observe. Like if we wanted to count how many cars go through the intersection in an hour, we have to count them. You can't take a survey for that. There's no survey for, like, I can't ask people, how many cars went through this intersection? They ain't no one fucking counting that shit. You actually have to bother and stop and take the measurement. Does anyone need that page up longer? All right. Are we having fun yet? Is this not like the best day you've had this week? Like way better than 4th of July. Fuck 4th of July. It's got nothing on shot for me. All right. You guys ready for more? Okay. So I said what statistics are. I said what we use when we're doing them. There's a process, though. The process of statistics. It's funny. I teach statistics, but if I try to say the word statistics 5 times in a row, I'm fucking it up by the 5th week. Try yourself. Try saying statistics a bunch of times super fast. Have you ever done that with your name?
Yeah.
Had your name said so many damn times in a row it started sounding funny to you? It usually takes, well, quite a few, but eventually, David. I hear it, like if I hear it enough in a row, it's like, that don't even sound right. I think this is what moms get when kids get home and mom. Now I know why my mom's like, leave me alone for 5 minutes. Because we would fucking just barrage her if she walked in when we were kids. All right, process of statistics. Step 1, identify your research objective. and the populations that go with it. Some things to note. Population doesn't necessarily mean people. It's just the overall group of objects. A lot of times that object is a person. But if I wanted to figure out what percentage of cars in the parking lot are white, or what percentage of students own a white vehicle, I could sample that by just going in the parking lot and counting cars, writing down which ones, how many there are, and then how many are white. And I could get that, and they're not people. But there does need to be one thing common. It's got to be a group of things or objects that share a similar trait. It doesn't make any sense to call a population. Let's go with Kiera, John Luca, my dog Lunar, and Sarah's car. Sure, Kiera and John Luca have something in common. They're people. They don't have anything in common with a dog or a vehicle, though. So that doesn't make it. Populations have something in common. Once we figured out what we're trying to figure out, that's step one. Step two, we will conduct an experiment to collect data and that's actually the emphasis of chapter 1. That's what we're talking about today. Step 3, we will use the data to develop descriptive statistics. And we're going to talk about doing that stuff in chapters 2 to 4. 4, we're going to do, I'm going to teach you it before the midterm, but 4 is not on the midterm. Chapter 4 is not even really on the final. I need to show it to you so that you know what it is, but testing on it's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it. And I don't have to. I'm a teacher. I can do whatever the hell I want. Within reason, there are very few, there are rules. I can't break some rules. But damn near most of the rules would be crimes anywhere else. So descriptive statistics are like finding the average. That is a statistic, like average is a statistic. It's a numerical summary of a group of people. The average age of the people in this room, I've summarized everybody's age, it's a single number. That's a statistics, and it describes this group. Describe and descriptive, same kind of thing. We'll do stuff like that between chapters 2 and 4. Then what we really want to do is that only describes the sample. After that, we want to infer something or perform inference. We want to, upgrade what we have with the sample and imply something about the population. And we're going to do that in stuff like between chapters 5 and 8. I am, after this class, it's being recorded. When it's done recorded, I will put it on Zoom. I'm going to take these notes and I'm going to scan them and put that on Canvas as well as this video, or if you have to miss class. Obviously, most students do better by showing up. Some students hear that and go, sweet, I gotta show up, everything's online. I can watch it later. You have to wait for me to put it up if you wait till later. And sometimes I'm slow. It's summer class, I may not do it when I get home. Last night when I got home, I thought I was chipper. I went home, I took a fucking 2-hour nap. Like, what? I just I took my shoes off and it felt so nice having the fan on. Oh, this is comfy, and just out I went. And I woke up, next thing I know, it's 6:30 at night. I'm like, good God. By that time, my wife's ready to have dinner, she's ready to watch the TV shows. If I had recorded something yesterday, it wouldn't have been posted yesterday. So you risk that happening. So we'll perform inference about the population using sample data. I said chapters 5 and 8. This is where we look at the reliability of our answer, or how close are we? How close can we get? We talked about the Netflix thing earlier, where we can get a percentage range, but probably not the exact percentage. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about right now. And then chapters 9 through 13, we will talk about the techniques we use. And that will also, how close can we get, also fits in here as well. Each technique has its own measure of closeness. Chapter 5 is all about probability. It's loosely related to statistics in general, in that you make a percentage and you make fractions and decimals and shit, but other than that, it's sort of there. So depending on when we do the techniques we use, it depends on what type of samples we're using. If I ask one group of people, there are processes that we do where it's one group, and what we're looking for, if it's for a percentage, or if it's for an average or something like that, it's different processes. Or if I'm trying to compare 2 groups or 3 groups or something like that, like guys versus girls, or Biselian versus Tulare, something like that. I don't know, we would never do that. The point is, if we were doing some sort of comparison, we have 2 different groups that has different types of techniques. So our techniques tend to boil around what we're looking for as an answer and who we've asked. And you'll see that when we get to that. That's like the last week. All right. You guys ready for more? Okay, section 1, that was 1.1. That just talks about everything that's in. That's the first note you're going to do. 1.2 is not, you're not being tested on it, but there are some things I want you to know. You won't be tested, but it's kind of like important information. So 1.2 is on like, it's called variables and statistics. I will summarize it down to what I think you need the most for most situations. If you're really curious, you can go through and watch a video and get all the boring jargon. What this section boils down to is some experiments lead to indicating a cause. Cause versus effect kind of thing. Some don't. They only show correlation. Let's write that where there's a little more room and it's not getting squished. What do I mean by that? Let's say whatever we're talking about, red just keeps popping off. Let's say we got group A and group B. And they could like both go up together based on a piece of information. Or they could both go down together by a piece of information. Or one might go up while the other goes down. That's like an inverse relationship. That doesn't tell us whether it's correlation versus causation. So how do we decide and that's actually the phrase is commonly used, correlation versus causation. Correlation means I could do this with either letter. Group A and B don't affect each other. But they both go up together, they both go down together. They both have the same outcome, but they're not, one's not causing the other. Or A causes B, or B causes A. That's really, really vague. So I'm going to give you an example. Just waiting for everybody to finish writing before I switch to turn the page. Up the door, you're cracking me up. I gotta ask you, I did that as a student too, I took pictures. Have you ever looked at the pictures you've taken in a class?
Yes.
Really? I never did. I always took the pictures and never went back and looked at them.
Yeah, just I usually for history last semester There would be like lots of slides, and I would try to write fast, but she would switch them over, so I'm like, screw this. Took a picture, went home, copied the notes on my notebook, and that's got an end.
Okay, that's a good approach. That's a great approach. If you are the type of students that are like, I'm not gonna keep up with the teacher, I'm just gonna take pictures, that's fine. But if you never bother to take the time to write them in notes, even if you look at them, it's nothing. It's like looking at a picture, it means nothing, you ain't gonna remember it. The act of actually writing it out and making it go through your head and out your hand helps. I hope you all take notes. All right, that's it. Maybe 1% of the time I took pictures, I went back and did it. Like rewrote the notes.
Did like the first few times and then it just stopped.
Right, that's usually what happens. If I do it, and I look for a little bit, and I'm like, fuck it.
I just use it as my notes.
That's a terrible approach. That tends to backfire. Very few people can get away with it. Because you generally just don't retain it very well. All right, so let's give an example. It is summer. Newsflash, this says in. It's fucking hot outside. It's summer. Guess what's happening right now? Ice cream sales are higher right now. Crime rates are higher right now. Usually, it may or may not be true on this particular month, but usually it's true. In the summer months, this shit happens. Question. Are ice cream sales going up, causing an increase in crime?
It's a correlation.
No. I mean, there might be an event where like someone like unreported crime, yes. Your child breaking into your wallet, your purse, stealing money, hit up the ice cream truck if they go by. Your guys' neighborhood still have an ice cream truck that goes by? Ours does, but that motherfucker is never going slow. I don't know what you're doing. Who are you selling to? You can't go 30 miles an hour and expect the kids to be fast enough. They hear the ice cream truck, and by the time they hear it, you're gone.
Yeah.
They get outside, they're like, where's the ice cream man? And it's like, that would be a lot of fun, just if you like didn't want to sell ice cream, but you want to be like a dick, like the complete opposite of Santa. You could torture the shit out of your children, just drive quickly around residential neighborhoods.
Well, yeah, because kids are assholes.
Oh yeah,
But it's.
but well, kids are assholes. That's just a general statement.
But
That
that's
does-
a true general statement.
It is a very true general statement. They usually don't respect other people's feelings, and they don't think about anybody but themselves in general. It's all about self-priority. Now, most adults are that way, whether they admit it or not. Even the goody two-shoes, the ones that help people, they're doing it because it feels good. But kids, they're just flat out. Why are you fat? Because I eat more than you, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
They're just up front.
Yeah, they're up front. They don't know that they're being rude until they've been taught. And parents, good parents, will say, we don't say things like that to people, and tell them why. They're like, others just say, shh, don't do that. And they're like, don't ask a question, why? They don't know anything. You say like, it takes time to teach them that shit. But the point is, do ice cream sales cause crime? Maybe in the house, burglary within the house of kids that I know I did. I assume other children did as well, went and raided mom's coin purse. When I heard the ice cream truck, if I could go fast enough and I knew she wasn't paying attention, she wouldn't respond in time, I just hit the fucking source of the money, be out the door and wait for that guy. Generally, no. What about the other way? Do crimes cause ice cream sales? Maybe. Maybe. Like the right crime, like you're stealing and you sell a bunch of shit and now you got extra money, you're like, it is hot, I'm gonna get fucking ice cream. Maybe, but that's not why you're doing it. You don't steal to buy ice cream. You don't kill people to buy ice cream. You might kill someone for their ice cream, especially if it's another little kid and he's being a prick and you don't have ice cream and he does, and he's rubbing it in your face, you might want to take him out. But in general, crime does not cause ice cream sales, and ice cream sales don't cause crime. This is called correlation. These are correlated events. What's the true cause?
Summer,
What?
it's summer.
But what about summer?
The heat.
It's fucking hot. Flat out, I'm writing that in there. Show that to your parents, kids. It's fucking hot. I know it's fucking hot. My car, I have the little phone, like the app thing where I can start the car ahead of time. And I done forgot to do it yesterday, and I hope it works today, because this building is really like a Faraday cage. Like my cell phone, I don't get a lot of good cell phone reception in here, even when I log into the Wi-Fi. I know when I got in that car yesterday, it said like 105 fucking degrees. And I was madder than the son of a bitch. I live in Tulare. During fall and spring, I drive through town, I go through the intersections in case my wife wants me to stop somewhere. I go, I'm gonna get on the freeway. I go out the parking lot this way, which is not Mooney, the other street. And I cross the freeway and I turn left, and it's like a mile and a half to the next entrance. Today, I'm going and getting on Mooney and doing that. Even if it takes a little bit longer to do that and get on the freeway faster, I know my car pulls off faster when it's going fast. Slow moving cars, AC just doesn't get that fast. The thing that pissed me off yesterday was my car has two buttons. It's got the AC button, it's on, and right below it, there's a little button that shows the picture, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be the inside of the car or something. It's got a little arrow doing a little circular thing. It means it's recycling the air inside the car, so if the air inside is cool, it's cooling down quicker. I looked at the AC button on yesterday when I got in the car. You don't want that recycling thing on when it's hot air in the car, because the hot air is hotter than the air outside. I saw the AC button on, and I thought the recycle air button. So I turned that shit off. And I was driving I got down to like fucking, what's the one past? I was almost to 99. I'm like, God damn, it has not dropped a fucking degree. What the hell is going on? And I looked and I'm like, son of a bitch. I fixed it, cooled down like that. Car was ready to go. It was waiting on me. All right, so there are things where the outcome is different. Now, this may not seem like it makes sense, but there tends to be certain health issues. I can't recall what they are. I'm sure there's a problem in one of these chapters that arise from living close to power lines.
Do you mean issues or insurance?
Yes. If you live near a power line, you have affordable health care. That's a fucking bullshit right there. It might be true. You might, the closer you live, I don't know.
I read it, I was like, huh, that would be really interesting. I didn't know that.
That's an interesting idea. No, like certain health issues, that's what you should say arise. It looks like ants. Arise. I don't remember where they are. I'm sure there's one in here somewhere. Oh, wait, this is only correlation also. That's another one that's correlation, not causation. What's a good example of causation? So let me tell you how you design an experiment so that you can do it. Then you guys can help me figure out one that's causation. So people, right? Do you have an idea?
Wait, so it's correlation, wouldn't it be causation if the health issues are from living near power lines? Like, would that be caused by the power line?
The way I wrote it is that it says that arise from. You know what? Just wait till you get the problem that has it. Fuck it.
Probably the price of gas, price of goods.
It's people that live near power lines and they did an experiment and the people had more health issues, but you couldn't show that one caused the other without having certain events happen. That's what we're about to talk about. So there's a couple ways to make an experiment. Fucking red cap go again.
Right, but
Son of a bitch. Just like magic. I was giggling to myself last night when I got home, and I started talking to my wife the way was talking a little bit ago, and I know I'm gonna do it again in a second, where I get a little excited, and the voice goes up at the end. I realized I'm getting this from an audiobook, the series of audiobooks that I'm listening to with Daniel Carl. I went home and just talked to my wife like that for like 30 seconds. And she's like, you need to cut down on the Carl. So I didn't tell her why or what I recognized. And she just immediately recognized it. It was just fucking funny. I normally don't talk like that. I normally don't have an escalating pitch at the end. I don't know. It's very entertaining listening to them. I try to entertain while I teach your kids. A lot of people are paying attention to me right now. And we are what, an hour? It is an hour in a class. You guys want to take a break? Does anyone need to use the bathroom or get a bottle of water? You came prepared today. Look at this. All right, we can keep going. No, we don't have to take a break.
I took my sister's water bottle.
It's your sister's?
Yeah. I don't know, she wasn't doing
You
it.
have no self-respect. Why you gotta steal her water bottle? Did you even ask?
Well,
You didn't ask, did you? You just took her shit, didn't you?
she was at cheer practice, so she wasn't really home. So I was just
She
like,
was where?
cheer practice, so I was just like, it's mine.
So where she probably wants water? And you then stole her fucking water bottle. She's gonna get home and want some water, and it was probably nice ice
I'll
cold
take her to
ready
lunch
for her.
after, but
You're gonna let her have some warm water. Very thoughtful of you. Good brother.
well, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. She takes all my stuff anyways, like most of the time.
Yes, that makes something okay. And if someone else does it, it's all right. I'm fucking with you. I don't give a shit. You stole a bottle. It's just entertaining. All right. So, an observational study is it's where we just measure the responses by looking at it. Measure the responses or record them. Through observation. And nothing is done in an attempt to influence the outcome. your standard survey falls in this category. Whether or not you, like if you're surveying people about what your favorite soda is, or let's go with beverage, they may not like soda. Their favorite beverage, everyone's got a favorite beverage, even if it's just water. You ask them what their favorite beverage is, and they tell you, you may not have ever watched them drink their favorite beverage, but you're getting the outcome from them, and you've done nothing to influence it. That's different than a designed experiment. In designed experiments, individuals are assigned to a group. And something is deliberately changed between the two groups. Changed, or if not changed, different. And then the response is recorded. Having said that, I know the perfect example. I don't know why I fucking just brain farted earlier. These are your double blinds. There's a perfect example. Double blind pharmacy studies. Do you guys want to write out the entire description of what a single blind is versus a double blind, or do you just want to hear the answer, what it is? That nodding your head is not an answer, that was a yes. That was a pick one.
Just know the answer.
You just want to hear the answer? Okay. So like a single blind study is, you've got like people, you're giving out medicine, you're trying to decide whether this new medicine works. And you break groups into two groups, a group that you're gonna give the medicine to, and a group that you're not gonna give the medicine to, but you're gonna give them something that looks like the medicine. And if they swallow it and it has a flavor, tastes like the medicine, so they think they're taking the medicine. It's called a placebo. They used to put like sugar in a capsule. I don't think they do it anymore because they realize people are diabetic and that might fuck things up. But they put inactive stuff in the placebo, so it's not doing anything. And then in a single blind study, the people giving out the medicine know which group they're giving the medicine to. In a double blind study, the person that's giving out the medicine doesn't know if they're giving out the placebo or the drug. The idea here is, in both of them, with the placebo versus not, there is the power of belief and hope that does have a medical effect. You can wish your way out of some shit. Or you can, your belief and your happiness and shit like that can affect the outcome. My wife was diagnosed with brain cancer 3 months after we got married. They gave her less than 5 years to live. We've been married 19, she's in remission, everything's fucking fine. She's got balance issues because it's brain surgery, but like her memory didn't change. She's still the same person, she's still a jackass when she's around her dad. Her dad fucks with me, and whenever he's around, she does the same goddamn thing. It's terrible. So like very little's changed, but she went into it with hope and faith and believing on all that good stuff. And She didn't pray much, but a lot of people prayed for her. I was trying, we were doing radiation and stuff like that. I also looked up herbal treatments where you could get it at like a local store, any local store that sells herbs, and trying that. That seemed like this couldn't be a scam because I don't have to buy it from you. Probably not a scam. We did both. She's in remission. We don't know what worked. Doesn't matter. I still tell people that when I know someone's got cancer, I tell them the name of the book that we got the information from, which sells the herbs off their own website, but they're herbs you can buy anyway. And so there's that. So like in an attempt to like compare the difference, they put the people with the pills that have the active ingredient in a group different than the other one. There is going to be some power of hope and happiness and faith that will make like a percentage of the people in the placebo group still have a good outcome. Maybe let's not do cancer. Maybe it's like they got over being sick faster, something like that. And like then there's the people that are actually taking the medicine, and like maybe you, hopefully, the idea is a higher percentage of the people in the drug group got healthier faster. The reason why they do double blinds versus single blinds is if you, I want to go back to the cancer thing. If you are giving out medicine to a group of people that you know have terminal cancer, and you know you're giving them shit that doesn't do a goddamn thing, do you think maybe, just maybe, you might give that away without meaning to? Like maybe not looking as enthusiastic, or looking like maybe like this is pointless kind of look. Whereas like if you're giving to them like, here, feel better, you're like, there's like body language that gives it away. So if you don't know, if you think you're giving out the good shit, you're giving out the good shit. So nice. That's what the person you're talking to is going to think, because that's what you think. This is very much how when people tell lies and they don't know they're telling lies, they're not really lying. They're just telling something that's not true. If your mama told you something and you believed all your life it's true, I wish I had an idea right. My mom has told me all sorts of shit throughout my life that as I grew up found out was factually wrong. Right, once in a while, well, most of the time factually wrong. If I spouted out what she said, I wasn't lying because I didn't know. Lying is like intentionally deceiving. So like you can't intentionally deceive if you're doing a double blind. And so then you can explore causation. Only with designed experiments can you do causation. Designed experiments test for causation, not correlation. That was a long way to get to that point. Oh, I'm still going to try something. It didn't work in the other one. I hope it works in here. The J and John Muir 101 building doesn't do it. When everyone's done writing, let me know. I'm going to try to fucking monitor it, change the shit. I'm going to put this like this and see if changing the rotation. It's not going to work. I already know it. Nope. Okay, look at it again. 180 mirror, nope, no 90-degree rotation. It's fucking lame. That's not rotate.
Why is there a 0-degree rotate off?
Return it to the original form, like top is top, bottom is bottom. I can actually do flip, where when I write, it's gonna read backwards on the screen. This would be great to fuck with people one day. I don't like it. I really like turning it like this, because notice if I could, you could see the entire paper and I'd never have to move it. And guess what? Like this isn't in the way of looking at any of the students. The Tulare building has this. That's where I work all the time. Come over here for summer, one fucking summer to look at this shit. By sight. I never even said by sight like that. All right. That's 1.2, let's take a look, no, that's in 1.3. One point three is on simple random samples. And I'm pretty sure this piece of data comes from 1.2, but I know there's a question in the 1.3 homework for it. A frame is a list of individuals in the population. Why they use the word frame when in any other event you would call this the roster. If it's people, it's the names. If they ask, the census is the frame, so the list of individuals in the population with their characteristics. Okay, so that's just a piece of information. The majority of 1.3 is on simple random samples. This is very, very important. You want your sample to be comprised of random members of the population. Some things that are not random. If I have a list of names, not random, let me write not random so it's clear this is what we're doing first. And this is your bad juju category. Don't do this shit. If you're making an experiment, don't do this. A list of alphabetical names. And you pick the top however many. Or the first XXX number of people. XXX is just any random number here. If you're looking for 3 people, if you're looking for 10 people, don't pick the first 10 people. There's nothing random about it. You went by their name. It may lead to a good result. Like those 10 people may truly have nothing in common. And so you got a good random breakdown of the group, but it's generally a bad idea in the first place. So that's one thing you shouldn't do. Another example, as a teacher, I should not survey just my students. Or if you're doing some form of survey, don't just survey your classmates. In a normal statistics semester, I would give you guys a project to do. In terms of literally fucking 4 weeks, we don't even have 28 days. We have like 26 days. I could, but then like you ain't getting shit done. You're not gonna do the homework. or you're not gonna do the project, and there's a good chance it's not gonna be either, you're just gonna drop out of my class and say, fuck you, Jones, that's just way too much. So I shouldn't just survey my students, you shouldn't just ask your classmates. These are both examples of convenience sampling. It's convenient for me if I want to, like normally in a semester, like a spring or fall, I have like 200 students. Getting results or answers from 200 students out of 1,500 or 15,000 is usually a good enough amount. I've got a perfect size group for the people, but I've got people only taking my class, which introduces what we're going to do in 1.5. It's called bias. There's reasons why people take my class. Sometimes it's convenience of time or location. In this spring and fall, I tend to teach a lot of evening classes in Tulare. There's another teacher that teaches the morning classes. I like the evening classes. I don't like getting up at fucking 7 o'clock in the morning like I am this semester. I'm fucking dumb. Stupid. I'm making a lot of money this semester. That's what's keeping me calm. Normally my first class is afternoon, like 2. Sometimes 2, sometimes it's like 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, stuff like that. Usually I'll have like either a 2 to 4 and a 4 to 7, or a 2 to 5 and a 5 to 7, or something like that. I have a 5-hour block. It's done over with, but like the after 4 o'clock works really well for students in high school because they're out of high school. It also tends to work decently for people that are employed, where they go, hey boss, can I get leave an hour early twice a week for this semester? And like maybe come in an hour early to make up for it kind of thing. And it's easier to work it out rather than going, class is only available from 1 to 4. Sorry, boss, this is important to me. You lose your job that way. I had to quit my day job of being an accountant when I decided I wanted to go back to school full-time in math. At the time, the calculus classes were only available during the day, and I did accounting in Fresno. There was no way. Couldn't do it. They didn't do online 10 years, not a whole lot. Not like it is now. So it was like, you gotta switch to student loans and stuff like that. Nowadays, they have calculus classes in the evening. I waited. I've been a fucking old man going to school. But I could have done it. That's an example of convenience sampling. Picking the top names on a list, the first so-and-so names, that's really easy. I don't have to put any thought to it. How could I remedy both of these situations? What's a fix for the alphabetical names? How can I get random members from the alphabetical names?
Random number generator. Pick those names off the list.
Let me write this down real quick. Random people from the alphabetical name.
He wants to take a picture.
Okay, give me a second.
Very good.
Thank you.
I heard random number generator. That works if we number them. Number them. And use a random number generator to pick numbers. What's another common way that's done?
Going like a pie.
What?
Going like a pie.
Put them in a pile, like put them all in a hat. Write the names down, write one name on each piece of paper and put them in a hat. Those are pretty good examples. what about for me wanting to survey students? Let's draw a line. I said me surveying students, but like anybody, what about surveying students? How could I do this? Let's say at COS, we're gonna limit our population to COS students. It's kind of unrealistic to include all students in the US. It's not even realistic to include all students in California. But we can include all students in COS. Any ideas?
As they walk out the door,
Of where?
like their classrooms.
Okay, so that's a good way to catch them without interrupting them. Get them outside of classrooms. Let's come up with a list of shit.
Maybe through emails? Email them? Yeah, email every student.
I like that. Emailing every student is not something most students can do. I don't even know that I could do it.
Well, you can like in each class, like you could email like all the students, cause you can go to like when you like wanna send a message, you just click on it and it tells you the course. And it says teacher and students.
But then it would be only the students in your class, so that would make it.
But then I also, like, students have more than one class and I don't know where I'm getting overlap, shit like that.
You know, like homeroom can have a required assignment as the survey, so that way all the students have to complete it.
If you had a homeroom kind of set, we could do that, and we could have every student do it, and that would be great, because then we wouldn't need a sample, we'd have the parameter.
And giving out treats.
That encourages participation, yes. You'd be surprised, some treats don't encourage participation. It's fucking crazy. So I won't do it this summer, because it's just unfeasible. In summer, we won't have enough time. In a normal semester, at one point, I give out a bag of M&M to every student, and we record how many of each color you have in your bag. When you're done, you're free to eat them. And like, I've had students like, here's the bag back. I'm like, what? I like chocolate. What? Are you a fucking human? How do you not like chocolate? Being allergic to chocolate is one thing.
Yeah.
Not liking chocolate? I don't know if I trust you anymore. It's hard to trust somebody. One of my closest friends, get this, detests hot chocolate chip cookies. That's like the fucking best way to have a chocolate. It's all melty, gooey, hot chocolate. Oh my God, best cookie ever. He will freeze them. He likes them frozen.
Oh my God.
They're all right, exactly, huh? They're all right. Usually the process of freezing them fucks up a cooked dough. Like it changes the texture. He thinks that's great. He'll fucking freeze chocolate chip cookies. I'm like, what the fuck?
He's a sociopath.
He is. Right. I like to tease him about it because he's gay. I got several friends that are gay. Many of my friends that I hang out with are gay. And I like to say, you're a fucking freak. And I'm like, and it's not because you're fucking gay. Because I don't care. I actually was his pastor. Or priest, or let me phrase it, wedding officiant. Because I'm not religious. It was like, I looked up how to become like certified wedding officiant in California. I got a card in my wallet that's mostly faded right now that says Universal Life Church, and I can officiate weddings. And I did. They were two of my best friends, and I helped them get married. It was a great day. We all had fun. But I love saying, you're a fucking freak, because you hate hot chocolate chip cookies. All right, so what about surveying this? I don't even know where I led into that. How did I go from surveying students at COS to fucking talking about hot chocolate chip cookies? I went with giving out treats. Okay, so let's say we don't want to ask every student.
We gotta make sure you get people from Hanford, Tulare, and Visalia.
So that's something we need. We need people from all locations. To be really fair, And I'm even gonna say the online community, because there are some people that don't go to any of the campuses. In fact, they're not even in the fucking county. There are COS students that aren't even on the West Coast. I'm Duke Carl again. This is great. They're not even like in Texas.
I have a friend who's in Tennessee, and she's finishing out her degree from Yale.
See, there you go. There's just like attending a community college online makes it like since the pandemic made it really easy. We all like there's databases you can look up like California Community College online courses, and you like I've gone and looked at taking like an online writing class because I've taken the creative writing class here, and I wanted to explore somewhere else, and I'm like. It's a lot of effort. I ended up just looking up free writing classes, but I could. And sometimes, like, it's the easy way to do it. In fact, we've had some students, they're pushing to, we want to include online students because it includes everybody. What else should we do? Well, it's kind of hard to do with online students. Not just location, but maybe we should hit like students at different times of day. We want to hit different majors too, but it's really hard to know what a major is, even if you know what class they're coming out of.
I feel like that's why it's a good idea to do the general education classes, to like
You can-
doing a survey.
You could do that. There are other places on campus that people come out of. You could just post yourself near a building and then anybody that comes out of the building, but even a lot of the buildings tend to have a theme.
I feel like Tulare would be easier for that.
Tulare's pretty easy for it because they're just all over the place. John Muir, the building we're in, tends to have it's all primarily science classes. Science and math and engineering. There are a few other rooms on campus that have math classes because there's just not enough classes here for all of the math classes we have. But like if you just wait outside here, you're probably getting a lot. But just because they're math and science classes, that doesn't mean you're getting math and science majors. Every student needs a math class. How many of you guys are science majors? Not very many of you, right? How many is anyone a math major?
No, we've
No one's aiming for the free A? That's a shame. I would not get away with it. I tease them that all the time. It's good stuff. And like with biology, pick any science class they're taking the general science class. So even having something like that, picking an English class, there are some classes, like if you hit them up, there's a good chance you've narrowed it down quite well. If you like outside a particular class, say like Calculus 3, you're probably only getting math, physics, and engineering students. Even people that need higher level mathematics, like Calculus 1 and 2, stop by the time they get to Calculus 3. Not all, like nurses, some nursing programs need Calculus 2. It's actually can be quite helpful. But Calculus 3 is next level shit.
So don't go stand outside the building and see in Tulare,
Right,
because that's just building.
right. So picking like, maybe standing at the front of the building, or even like outside of a building where you know you're not in front of a particular class, you have a better chance of doing a random thing. But even then, like, if we just stand outside the John Muir building, we're only picking students that are taking science courses this semester. So maybe we want to pick a couple different locations. Maybe here, maybe meet them in the parking lot, like have them as they're getting on, that, like we're just coming through. I need 5 seconds of your time. Outside the library. Library's a good spot. You don't want to interrupt them while they're studying, but you can catch them on the way out or on the way in. Try to be consistent with it. You don't want to go on the way in and on the way out. And like if there's 3 of you out front and you're on, I already answered this shit, but sure, why not? I'll do it again. So there's things you can do. And don't just like, if you do it on separate days, don't just do it all in the morning because that's when you're there. Some students are there only in the morning, but there's a lot of students that take night classes only. High school students, people that have day jobs, people that are vampires, don't want to be up in the day. I've had a student that, I don't know how he's doing, he didn't do very well in some of my classes because he'd enroll in 8 a.m. classes and he would never make it because he was fucking sleeping in every day. I'm like, why'd you pick an 8 AM class? There's other teachers that teach this shit. Take it at 11 AM. You have a good rating on ratemyprofessors.com, Mr. Jones. I know I do. I fucking take pride on it. I look at that shit every semester. I look at Rate My Professors when I'm having a bad day. Because I know when I look at it, I'm gonna feel better about myself. Everybody needs a Rate My Professors fucking thing. Even if you do, the problem with Rate My Professors, off on tangent again, here we go. The problem with Rate My Professors is you tend to get only students that are bitching. This teacher sucks. This teacher sucks. He made me do homework. If you're like, you'll see, they got a C, like the teacher's too hard. And if you fucking knew them, you knew they didn't do their shit. They didn't study. That's why it was hard. There are some teachers that do legitimately have hard classes. Sometimes it's the class. I've heard Chem 2, inorganic chemistry, is like one of the hardest fucking classes on campus, even harder than the shit I know how to teach. I don't know, I kind of want to take it one of these semesters just to find out, like, are you guys fucking full of shit, or is it like really that hard? I got an A in Chem 1 when I took it. It wasn't too hard for me. There's a lot of memorizing different shit, but a lot of the operations are very like mathy kind of thing, algebra shit, balancing equations. Is OChem that fucking hard? I kind of want to know. But like on ratemyprofessors.com, you'll get like good and bad reviews, and some of them, like a lot of great teachers have a rating of like 3.2, 3.5. Because a few people that like them log in and say, this was a great teacher, you got a 5. And a lot of them are logging in, this teacher sucked, it was a 2. I had to take notes. They wanted me in my seat. They wanted me to pay attention. So sometimes you gotta kind of read the review, like if it's all broken English with terrible grammar, you're like, you probably deserve the fucking grade you got. I take pride in mine. It's not a 5, perfect 5 anymore. There's a few 4s. A couple people gave me a 2 or a 1. 2 people one semester said I was making a student cry, and I did not. I know I didn't. I know the student they were talking about. And if the student was crying, it's because they were crying because they were fucking laughing. Because I still talk to them. They're friends of mine on Facebook now. They're done with the school. They're not here anymore. I can go befriend students on Facebook afterwards. They want to stay in touch, ask me questions. No, I is full of shit. All right. So those are different ways to like do a simple random sample. That's 1.3. We're not going to do 1.4. 1.5 we need to talk about. All right, it's been an hour and 40 minutes. Do you guys need a break yet?
Can I go use the restroom?
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break. Everyone's looking around waiting for someone to say yes. Y'all just gotta look at John Luca and say, hey, are you ready to do some shit? I wanna go out. I don't wanna ask Mr. Jones. I don't bite.
Like a treadmill in here.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, you're like the walking treadmill.
Oh, hell no. I can't have that shit.
It's my body.
Get humiliated by students. Come teach on the treadmill, Jones. Fuck up. Not happening. I'll hit pause on the recording. Recording. 1.5 is on biases, and a bias is a favoring or having an inclination towards one group, option, choice, something. over another group, or over another in that category. When your stuff has biases, or you have a bias, this usually skews the results of your experiment. Example in political polling. Picture like San Francisco. We could pick either place, or let's go with like fucking Houston, Texas. No, we need somewhere like in the middle of fucking nowhere in Houston. Where's somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Houston? Or middle of nowhere in Texas? Let's go with Bedford, Texas. Look at you with the fucking geography over here. Like my sister-in-law lives in Texas. I can't even, Sonora, that's where she lives. I couldn't think of the fucking name.
I just remember that from the Big Bang Theory, or like,
Is that where Sheldon's family is? Okay. I do not remember that, and I've watched it several times. Good for you.
Young Sheldon.
I love fucking Sheldon, he's the best. Have you watched Young Sheldon? I love Young Sheldon too.
I hate him, bro.
You what?
I hate Young Sheldon so much.
Why?
He's such a. Like,
He's an annoying little, the show is good.
if you want to use the word bitch, that's him. Like, if you can use.
He is a little bitch.
He's a little.
You're right. Young Sheldon acts like a little bitch.
He's such a
Snitch.
sassy little boy.
He's the kid everyone wanted to just punch, just like
Yeah.
somebody so.
Yeah, he's the most punchable person. I mean, he's a kid and he shouldn't be that punchable.
Sheldon is really as bad as an adult. He's
Even
not any
worse.
different
It
as a
just gets
child.
worse.
As a child, it's the only reason it's worse is because he has a few less things that he just like doesn't. He's like the kid doesn't give a shit if it's rude. The old adult Sheldon has the same thing, but there are a few areas where he tones it down some. Maybe, I think.
It's like after he like gets it like drilled into his head, like.
The show's entertaining though. I love the brother. Sister's a sassy little thing.
Sheldon's more sassy than the sister though. That's what I don't get.
No, he's just annoying.
Yeah.
He's not trying to be sassy. She's deliberately doing it. He's doing it by accident. He doesn't know he's being a jerk. She knows she's being a jerk. I think that's my definition of being sassy. Knowing you're being an asshole to someone and enjoying it.
She does, because she says in most of the episodes, she's like, I love it when you cry.
Right? Right? Good times. All right, so we got these two cities and we do a political poll in them. In one of them. Trying to infer something about the US population.
We do a poll.
Survey?
We do a political one, and then
We do political polling. There we go. Sometimes I'm thinking faster than I'm writing and I miss some shit. If you wait till there's numbers involved, and you'll see some shit like 2 + 3 is 8. And not one of you is gonna say a goddamn thing, and you all fucking know 2 + 3 is an 8. And you're all gonna be like, oh, is there something I don't know? Look, is there a reason why he's saying 2 + 3 is 8? Yeah, the teacher just fucked up. He made a mistake. Call him on it. Don't wait like fucking to the bottom of the page when I had that fucking thing at the top where I gotta rewrite the whole thing. Just say it right away. All right, so we do political polling in one of these places, and we're trying to infer something about the US population. San Francisco is thoroughly weighted toward the Democratic Party. I hope that's sarcasm. Medford, I'm assuming, if it's anywhere like most of Texas, it may be abnormal. Most places in Texas are thoroughly Republican. So, if you are trying to decide how the United States, the population of the United States is going to act or think on a topic, and you're only surveying people in that one of those towns, you're not getting good data. Your answers are going to deviate far from the fucking norm. They're not even going to be close. Like most of America is like, there's so many people that are like right in the middle, like neutral, truly neutral. They've got some Democratic values and some Republican values. They pick a party just so they have someone to vote for in the beginning, before the final elections, but they don't really give, they're not lied. And then you've got your enthusiasts, let's say. People that are like heavily one-sided and like everything in this party is correct. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm right in the middle. I vote libertarian. I registered libertarian. That way, hopefully, if we can get 5% of the vote one of these days, we can actually have a three-party system rather than a two-party system. But if you survey one of these locations, you're getting some bad shit. Your answers are bad. Results are bad. They are skewed in favor of the reigning political party in that region. I don't know if reigning is the right word. Like reigning is like king. There's no king in the region, but
Not a king, but a prince. But no.
I had so much fun on Discord with my crypto group yesterday. My name in the Discord channel is Professor Hefe Leroy. Leroy is the king in French. And recently I've decided I'm well known. I'm like one of the most vocal people there. I am well known as just being noisy. And like the last 3 weeks, maybe month, I show up, I do a GIF with Iron Man fucking flying, landing, doing the ta-da! Look at me, I'm right here! And then I'm typing, your king is now here. Everyone may, have a good time. Yesterday, I said, your king has come, my will be done. And I forget what the second line was. I just fucking hijacked a prayer. I literally did. And one of them was like, oh my God, he's coming, he thinks he's fucking Jesus now. And I'm like, well, what are you gonna say? In my world, I think I'm champ. It's great. For those of you that are heavily religious, I don't care. I'm not attacking your religion. Don't be offended. It's just me being an asshole. If you think I'm being like anti-Christ or something like that, you're entitled to that assumption. I'm not. All right. I'm gonna have so much fun with you guys this semester. My 2 morning classes, I went through my fucking slideshow, and like, I still have a student that had nothing in common with me after 44 fucking slides. Not a goddamn thing. How is that possible? And I'm like, what, do you not watch TV? I got a wide variety of shit. She's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, what do you like watching? Maybe I like it and just didn't put it on the slides. I don't know. I'm like, fucking work with me here. Come up with something. I asked her again today. Did you watch anything last night? Nope. I'm like, I'm not even, she don't want to have anything in common. Fuck it. I think if you have something in common with your teacher and you know it, it makes it easier to talk. It makes the class more fun for you. Or just having at least a mediocre amount of fun. Way more than you expected in a math class. I don't expect to have fun in a math class. So when I do, it's great. So this is an example of bias. In fact, this particular example of bias is called undercoverage. It's when one of the groups has a lower percentage than the other? Well, no, that's not. That's just a flat out fucking bias. I'm gonna put that back. Let's put that back. This is not an example of undercoverage bias. Doing a survey like, do you vote Democrat or Republican? That's undercoverage bias towards third-party people. Third-party people are not represented in most political polls. The reason how this shows up is if you survey 200 people at fucking random in an area, the chances of you getting a libertarian are not the same as the percentage of libertarians in the country or in the state. They're just not. Chances are, when you do something like this, you won't get any of the low group. Like, maybe San Francisco or Metro work, there maybe the Republican count is so fucking small in San Francisco, this might be a good example, but libertarian is good fucking anywhere. Like you poll any city, and there's a good chance, as long as you didn't just go fucking hog wild and ask like 10,000 people, there's a good chance you didn't get a libertarian at all. The more people you ask, the more likely you are to get the right percentage that matches up. But then you start looking at cost versus effect. Asking 10,000 people questions, you got to pay someone to ask those questions. You got to have all that paper. You got to collect all the data, all the time spent on it. It costs money and time. One of those resources is replenishable, the other is not. Oftentimes, time is the most critical aspect. Okay, so undercoverage is one perfect example of a bias. Let's look at some more. Does anyone need this up longer? Okay. I tend to ramble long enough after a page so that you have time. We talked about one earlier, which is convenience sampling. This is the most common bias. Picking members of your sample because it's convenient. This happens a lot when I'm teaching out to Larry and I got evening classes and I'm teaching stats and they're like, we want to survey COS students and we're only on campus. This is like our only class this semester. So we're out here on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We're gonna ask people before class and after class. There's not a lot of people there after fucking 2 o'clock. They're not gonna get a lot of people. The people they're getting are a certain group of people.
There was a well-known class, there's a well-known class last for Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right, there are people out there, but you're getting, it's a very fixed group of people. And you're just picking them because it's convenient. I tell them you should come to school on your days off. You should come to school and ask questions at different times of the day, not just evening. Or like pick group mates that aren't just there in the evening that can do that part for you. That way you're hitting people here, they're hitting people in Visalia. You know, you get a nice little mix. So that's convenient sampling. And the name says it all. Like, what it should be called is lazy sampling. That's really what it should be called. That's FA's spin on it, lazy sampling. All right, so the next category we have is called the non-response category, non-response bias. Guess what this is?
Put out a survey, only 2 people answered.
That's true, that's the example. Why is that a non-response bias?
Because you don't, all the people that didn't respond, you don't have.
People don't respond. Yes, the name's right in it. Participants don't respond. I feel bad because the example that I'm gonna do on how you deal with this, I have sitting on my desk at home and I fucking saw it 4 days ago. And I was like, I need to take this, I always think, I am saving this deliberately so I can take it to class as an example. It's a fucking short survey, it's like 4 or 5 questions. They had a dollar bill stapled to it. It takes me less time to answer, like self-address, self-scan, it's already done. All I had to do is just like fucking box, go to the mail. Easy. I didn't do it because I've been saving it to show it as an example, and I never do. I always do these surveys. Why? I feel, as most people do, I have been given something, and as long as it's not too much effort or time, I feel obligated to give something back. So a way of dealing with this non-participation is you can minimize this by incentivizing. Give an incentive for doing it. Participation. There we go. There's an A in there that looks really small. Now, someone said earlier, give out candy. You turn in the survey, you give out candy. You get the fuck candy when you turn it in. That's a decent incentive for most students in the class. It works for me. If you want to fuck me to fill out a survey, you're gonna offer me a piece of candy, I'll do it. I'll do it either way because I'm like a teacher and I want to help students out, but I'll do it faster if there's a fucking piece of candy. And even faster if there's 2 pieces. All right, so another way, so let me write that down. Giving candy for surveys.
Oh, this means to get someone to do something?
Yeah, get them to respond.
Oh, money, fear, or hunger.
Yeah, these are general things. Those are motivations for getting people to do something. Hunger tends, yeah. That's almost in the fear category. Fear of dying. It's really like fear or hope are the 2 motivations. You want to be rich, so you do it for the money thing. You could, oh, that's how religions thrive. Sorry, religious people, this is fact. Religions thrive on fear and fucking hope. Hope, I'm going to heaven. Fear, I'm going to go to hell if I don't fucking believe. It's a twofer. That's just the Christian religions. There are other religions that don't have that same heaven and hell, but there's usually some reward for believing in the faith, and some like either lack of reward or actual punishment for not. That's just how it's a tool for controlling that. It's an effective tool. I don't know why politicians don't do this shit. All right, giving candy for survey, that incentivizes participation through reward. This is like a reward method. Giving the dollar ahead, giving money with the survey. This is a reward, but it's also kind of like a guilt trip. Like you don't have to, like I don't have to send in that survey for that dollar. In fact, it didn't. Most people, enough people do, I don't know if it's most, that'd be a curious survey. Do over 50% of people that get money with the survey respond to the survey? I'm kind of curious.
That's a good one.
The point is, there's generally enough that they get enough responses to get whatever they need done. And they can like $1 if you only, like, depending on your resources and how many people you send it out to, you really only need a certain number of people to respond. It doesn't take thousands. Not even for the entire United States. It doesn't take thousands. A few hundred will represent the entire fucking country if you do a good random group. Pick people from different towns and let them go. And then another option is doing callbacks. They didn't answer, call them back, do it again. Now blow your shit up. Oh my fucking God. This fucking lady this fucking spring. She's like from my bank. I love my bank. They've done a lot of good shit. It's called Provident Credit Union. They give teachers like interest in their checking account, not their savings account, their checking account, and I don't need a big balance. They give me money. I like it. But she called me and said, are you interested in a credit card with Provident Bank? And I said, sure, but I don't really have the time to talk right now. She fucking called like every day and night, random times, but it was like every day for like fucking 2 weeks. And I'm usually not answering the phone because I'm busy doing something. I just see message after message, I listen to the message, or then she switched to emails, she had my email, or it was both. It was like calls and emails. You know, I want to touch bases with you about the talk we had on so-and-so date. I haven't fucking responded yet, figure it out, I'll do it when I'm ready. If I want a credit card from your bank, I know how to get it. I'll go to your bank website and get it. She's doing the callback thing. She's trying to get it out. She's not doing a survey, she's trying to do sales. But it's a similar idea. Then we have something, that was the non-response bias. And we've had the non-response bias. Does anyone need a picture of this before I yank it? All right, then we have the response bias. I'm gonna slap this shit out of you. I fucking deliberately asked.
It was quick.
You MFer.
It was slow.
All you had to do is say yes. You didn't even take the picture. All you had to do is tell me leave it up.
You know, that picture was blurry.
I think that's what happened. Is that the students that gave me like a 1 for rate my professors, I had called the student a name, and it was like an insulting name. She knew I was fucking with her. And you know, like when you're laughing enough that you're crying a little bit. I don't even remember her crying, but if she was, that was it, because she knew I was fucking with her. Oh, hold on. I don't want this next part recorded. Response bias. This happens when the response is wrong or not appropriate. You're like surprised I said that, aren't you? I like sent some shit up. He went too far. John says a lot of shit. He went too fucking far. You can't prove it. Not one of you recorded it. I guess if enough of you went to the dean's office and said he says this shit, my feelings would be hurt. My feelings would be seriously hurt. I think we're having a fun time in here. Don't hurt my feelings. Don't snitch. You know the phrase "snitches get stitches"? That shit is wrong. Snitches go in ditches. You don't walk away from that shit. Stitches you walk away from. You get a fucking stitch, you're done. It heals up, you're done. Snitch, that's not what happens with snitches. Not in real life. Not for real snitching. You don't walk away once you fucking get caught. Don't do that. Don't be a snitch. I am not threatening you with ending up in a ditch. I'm just saying don't be a snitch. This is going downhill. Okay, so the response is wrong or not appropriate. This can come out from flat out lying in the interview. either as an answer or deception in the interview process. This can happen when people have a vested interest in the outcome. It's really hard to ask people if drilling for oil is a good thing if you're asking the people that run the fucking oil companies. That's gonna have a response bias every goddamn day. They're gonna say, yes, it's great, it's fantastic, we provide energy for the country. Or they'll say, they don't wanna be the ones like represent, they'll say, oil provides energy for the companies. Meanwhile, what they're saying is, thank you, cha-ching. All right, so those are a couple things. Other things that fall in this response bias is leading questions. Here's an example. I don't remember how long ago it was. It's got to be 5 years or so. I got a phone call from a lady. I think it was a lady. Might have been a guy. Let's go with guy. I've had enough ladies in these discussions. The phone call happened. They wanted to ask about, what's that thing what they do for oil? Like, it's not drilling, but it's
Fracking?
fracking. I knew it had a K in it. They had, what was your opinion on fracking? And the options I was given was, fracking is really bad. Fracking is sort of bad. Fracking's a little bad. Fracking's neutral. That was my options. I'm like, feels a little leading. I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer this question because I really didn't know enough about fracking at the time. But I wasn't given the option to say, I think fracking's a great idea. That's a leading question, right? I wasn't given the option. Let's think of one where it's a little less critical. I ask you, what soda you like, Pepsi or Cola? Or Pepsi or Coke? You're like, I fucking drink Shasta. What the fuck is Pepsi Coke? I grew up on Shasta, that fucking shit. I don't even know if they sell Shasta anymore. Do they?
That's still the undefeated barbecue soda.
Right? You can get a lot of fucking Shasta Cola for a good price. And can you really tell, like, well, maybe. Pepsi and Coke are way different. But a lot of colas, they're colas. Leading questions. Wording of question. So like, that's not so much as a leading, well, it is leading. I didn't give you any other options. Your responses were limited. So I'm leading you towards Pepsi or Coke as an answer. I didn't tell you could say Shasta. Why do you keep smiling? You're thinking some shit like, is he fucking with me? That's hell sus. All right. So another way is like wording of the questions. It's okay if you only want to ask about Pepsi and Coke. Is there any other really name brand Coke or cola out there? Is RC even really name brand? No. There's not really any other, would you call any other cola out there really like name brand? I can't think of any. So maybe you want to explore, you like constantly look like you know some shit that I don't. like these fuck, I got Loki in the class. Fucking up to some shit. It's been all day. Every time I look up, he's like got a smirk on his face. Sometimes I'm not telling a joke. Not being funny. I'm like, what are you fucking smiling about? Stop it. All right, so wording the questions. You may want only Pepsi or Coke. You may only want name brand sodas. But if your question 100% of the time is Pepsi or Coke, and you do it in that order, there's a good group of people that don't give a shit, like the Shasta drinkers. They're like, I'm not buying either. But this I'm already going down the rabbit hole of the survey. I'll fucking pick one. And they will either default to the first one. Oftentimes when it's a short list, they'll default to the first one. And if it's a long list of fucking choices, they default to the last one. Because they don't remember the fucking first choice anymore, and they didn't want any of them. And the last thing they heard stuck in their memory. So if you ask the questions in the same order, you may not get a fair response. So a good way of doing it is like half the people you ask Pepsi or Coke, the other half you ask Coke or Pepsi. Now you fixed it, at least that form of bias. If you only care about name brand, you've eliminated the bias based on ordering or responses there. You might still have convenience sampling or other forms of bias, but the idea is get those biases as low as you possibly can. One other thing that happens here, when I said the response is wrong, guess what? You surveyed 200 fucking people, and you asked them all their age, and miraculously, they all told you their age. And you're fucking keying that shit in on a computer. You get it in a spreadsheet, and you get age. If someone says, I'm 18, and you fucking type that shit in as 81. You are, the fuck? You're having way too much fun. I should charge you. You should have to pay money to be having as much fun as you fucking are. He's having a lot of fun. All right. Like most students, there are students that are older. We have students that are older, over 60 at COA. They're not that many. The older you get, the less there are, but there's, at a community college, there's always someone in the higher age category. We might even have someone as high as 80. And maybe at that point that not every community college has one, but there are 80 plus aged people at college. It happens. I told you guys I got the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship. Someone I know, she's like 65, she's a writer, and she wanted to go back and learn about become a writer. And she's still in process of getting published. This was a few years ago. She's done some. She doesn't do like books like I like to read, like fantasy shit, so I don't know how successful she is. But she's a joy to talk to. She's a hell of a lot older than the rest of us. She's great. The point is, but more than likely, you didn't have an 81. And if you're trying to find the average age, now if you do this and that, even if it's 16, we got 16-year-olds, I switched that to 61, it's still fucking it up. You have enough of those, you changed, and if the sample's small enough, the mean changes quickly. Because the mean, when we do the mean or the average, you're dividing by the total number of people. Dividing by a smaller number means bigger errors if you're wrong, if you fuck up. So this is let's just group it all into like data entry errors. This one's controllable. You gotta review your shit. You gotta review your entries after you're done, like double check them all. If you've got a really, really large list, have someone else check it. That's really helpful if you can get them to do it. Or try to do it not like fucking right after you do it. Go do something else. This is true on anything you do. It happens in math equations, people solving math problems, you're writing a fucking paragraph or an essay. If you just did it and you're reviewing it, the fuck is he laughing at? He keeps turning to you, so I know you know.
It's not you. It's because my nephew went in my room and he poured all the turtle food into the tank, like the whole jar.
Oh, that can kill the turtle.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's bad.
But I
And you're
can't use
laughing.
it until I get home.
You're like, fuck those turtles. That's not Leonardo and fucking Donatello. Fuck 'em. That's a Ninja Turtle joke for those of you that are not in the know. All right, so where was it? And it's even better if this is like 19 and 91. The point is, this is avoidable. If you're gonna make a mistake, don't look at it again right away, because chances are your brain remembers what you did and it's gonna record it as the right fucking thing. You're probably gonna see the same thing again. Transposition errors, this is a transposition error where you switch the order of things, tends to be a little more noticeable. But like, I'm sure you've all seen the fucking sentence where they put the word "the" twice in a row, and they'll ask, what is wrong with it? This question hasn't, let me have one with the "the" in it. They give you a question and it's got "the," right, like back to back. It's clearly wrong. You don't write like that. And like, how many people notice it? Very few. Your mind sees what it wants to see, and especially if you just did it, it's gonna see what it wants to see on anything. So if you're doing something, go do something else for a little while. Even if it's it's not the right day for that. We'll do it on Wednesday. Go watch this fucking funny video on YouTube. Come watch me. You're having a good time. Come laugh at me. The turtle joke. It's hella sus. I'll take you take it for what, but that was one laugh out of fucking 3 hours. I don't know. Unless he's been poisoning your turtles all goddamn day, and you're just like, that's fucking shit, finding it all day long. I don't know. All right, these are fixable errors, right? All right, that's 1.5, those are biases. Mr. Jones, please leave that up a little bit longer.
Wait,
Sure, I'll do that, Theodore. You're welcome.
And it's quicker.
I know, it is quicker. It works. I always have fun with my wife, so not necessarily my wife, I'll ask something and they'll be like, that's not the way you asked it. I'm like, did you give me the answer I wanted? Yeah. Does it fucking matter how I asked it? I found out what I wanted. My wife is notorious for the non-response answer. She don't wanna fucking do something, she just wanna fucking say anything. Just be fucking crickets. Honey, we should do this. Did you fucking hear me, honey? Yeah, I heard you. No, she won't even say, yeah, I heard you. She'll look at me, not even fucking nod or anything. Like, so no, that's the answer, right? No? Okay. All right, those are the stuff you're doing homework on. I don't want to hit on 1.6, you're not being tested on it, but it is handy to know. The steps in the experiment, steps in a stats experiment. It's pretty close to the scientific method. A, identify the problem or question to be answered. If I do a question I had today, does giving money with a survey lead to over 50% responses? This one seems like an easy fucking experiment to set up. What should I do to fucking set this experiment up? I should send out money with my fucking survey and see if it fucking happens, right? That's really, but that is only one survey. That's only one out. If I did it with my survey alone, I'm only getting one answer. That's important to know. So like, if this kind of question, I don't even know how to go about surveying something like this. I'd have to like survey all the survey people. Like there's professional businesses that get paid to do all these surveys. You don't have like someone in your fucking basic office just stapling $1 every piece of paper. This is like an organized business. They probably could give me results. They would probably know. But I don't know. I'd have to look into how to figure it out. But that's a question you could ask. B, identify factors that affect the outcome. I don't know. What's going to affect the outcome with this kind of thing? Maybe giving more money? I don't know. I don't know that I use a good example. This is probably a shitty example. It's the one I asked today. Oh, I know another one I asked. Most of you weren't in here. How many people enrolled in this class because they saw I had a great Rate My Professor score? We talked about Rate My Professor earlier, but I didn't actually ask. I only saw a couple hands go up. So most of you did not. You just like, this was a convenient time slot?
Yeah, and then I checked your Rate My Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that usually has, okay, that tends to be the first criteria. If I'm teaching at a time, you're not fucking like, I'm busy then. I don't want to go to fucking class on Thursday night. Go to hell, Jones. Like, you're not coming. I don't know. What? Quit fucking with me. Quit fucking with me. All right, next step, C. Determine a good sample size. This is frequently as many as you can. Given your constraints with time and money. The more you survey, the more people you gotta ask, it takes longer. Unless you're doing it yourself, you're paying someone to do it. People don't volunteer for this shit to go do surveys for you. That's a waste of fuck. Oh God, I'd shoot someone if they fucking wouldn't have a gun. I get really mad at someone if they said, hey, will you go survey 100 people? I ain't gonna pay you shit. I just, thanks. No, not doing it. So you usually have to pay money or you're doing it yourself. Both of them take time. So you're usually restricted by that. In a lot of circumstances, you really aim for less than 5% of the population. Unless that is so low that you're asking everyone already. And then you're not doing statistics, you're just fucking asking a question, getting an answer. If you have the responses from everybody in the group, it's no longer, you're not inferring something about the population when you know what everybody thinks. Fucking watching you. Are you enrolled in this class? I assume you are. I didn't remember seeing you yesterday. Were you here yesterday? All right. What's your name?
Yes.
Jess?
Yeah.
Challenge accepted. I have a fucking roster. Guess what? You just narrowed it down. You're not one of the checked off names.
I sent an email to you yesterday too, so.
Yeah, you're the one you told me not to come.
Oh, it's Andrew.
Um,
I don't remember answering anyone else on this list. What's your name?
Yes.
I'm done with this guess. All right, so we've done that. Is everyone here? Like, I'm running out of paper, so I'm probably gonna turn the page quick because, like, if I do more, you're not gonna get it all in one picture anyways.
You're looking dead at me.
Yeah.
Alright, need to.
Because when I turn it, if I look at you and you give me the nod, your ass out of luck. I ain't about to bring it back. All right, I said C, let's go with D. D is put your controls in place. Often this is like fixing one of the factors, fixing one or more factors. As necessary. So you can get a good idea. For example, now every time I look at him, he's just fucking freaking out. I look around the room, I'm not always looking at you because you're suspicious. Now I don't want to, I want to fuck with him by not looking at him. Like, you could try to do a survey, like try to figure out what causes morbid obesity. But you really need to fix a lot of shit, like, so everyone in the group has that same thing. There's a lot of reasons that people go overweight. So if you're wanting like a specific question, do genetics play a huge role in being overweight? You have to fix most other factors in the group by picking people that get the same amount of sleep, roughly the same amount of exercise, have similar diets where like one's not eating fast food and the next guy's a fucking salad guy. You gotta kind of like fix all that, because if you have too many of those like free choices or unfixed values, you can't say whether or not your survey gave you information, because it could have been if you didn't ask about, or if you didn't set up your groups based on exercise and diet and all that, it may have been one of those factors. It may have nothing to do with genetics. So that's the idea there of fixing one or more factors. And usually what you're doing is fixing the factors you're not interested in. I think on the last page, I said one of the factors that might affect the outcome is giving more money. So maybe if I asked survey companies, I would say, only tell me surveys where you gave out a single dollar. That way I can eliminate the ones where they gave out a $5 bill.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I don't think I've ever gotten a survey with a $5 bill. I think the most I've ever gotten was a $2 bill. There are online surveys where they'll credit your account, or some of them are higher. How many have done that shit? Try to make a little extra money doing surveys. My wife did this for a while, and I try to do it too. The ones that are always good, they make you go through the whole goddamn fucking survey, and they go, you're in a category we don't need, you don't qualify. You lying motherfucker, I know you used my shit.
Wasted your time.
I know you used my shit. Whatever was the outlying factor that decided I wasn't it, that should have been one of the first fucking questions, so I wasn't asking the question for 20 minutes. That's some bullshit. I know you're lying. You used whatever I said, right? Are you laughing at me or with me?
No, I'm laughing with you.
With me, okay, good. Gonna get you in trouble. One of these days he's gonna fuck up. He's gonna be pointing while he does it, and I'm gonna know. You're fucking laughing at me. Fucking no. Alright, so fixing the factors you're not interested in, that's the controls we put into place. When we have it randomized, try to minimize the effect of uncontrollable factors. in the case of the survey about weight, or like figuring out about weight, maybe you have where you don't ask, you ask the exercise question, like maybe you're trying to say, does this diet work? But here's a good question, does this diet work? It's really hard to account for exercise and genetics and all that, but if you do enough random shit with the people, like maybe you can account for exercise level. Try to keep people in, like, have a random assessment. Don't have like all the athletes in one group and all the fucking me's in the other. Have like some couch potatoes and some fucking athletes in each group. Then you're addressing that by having like, it's random which member you're asking what you're getting. It's that kind of idea there. Then once you figured out all that shit, then you go out and you do your actual experiment. You get to go do it. Experiment. Whether this is surveys or observations or whatever the case is, if you're giving out drugs and trying to figure out if my drug works, this is the fucking thing. Wow, you two fucking, they both flipped their, like, snapped their heads up, giving out drugs. Teacher's talking about being a drug dealer. What the fuck? No, talking about pharmaceutical companies. God damn.
Legal drug dealers.
Right, legal drug dealers. All right, so whatever you're doing, do your surveys, do your observations, collect the data. And then finally, we will test the claim or initial question. Using an appropriate statistical technique. MF. Oh, caps lock is on, good. I'm like, that is not the wrong password, fuck off. While you guys are writing that, checking something real quick. I knew it was Andrew.
What?
Fucking look. Said he fucking emailed me about his work. I knew I responded. This is in my fucking email. This is something I can check. All right. And when we're doing this, we're doing inferential statistics. Let me write this so that it's visible. Yeah, you thought I was done writing. You already took your picture. Guess what? You gotta take another. What the fuck are you doing?
My hand is sweaty. It's hard to hold my pencil.
Just say you're writing in cursive.
Why? It's a nice control. Anyone in this room is gonna be fucking sweaty. It's the guy that weighs 3 times as much as you do. Me. If I'm not sweaty, you shouldn't be sweaty.
I know, it's just my hand.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? What?
Anything more to write?
No,
Okay.
you are free to get the fuck out of here.
Worried about taking another picture.
Now, you have some options. Class is technically till 4:55. I'm willing to sit in here and answer questions and shit for an hour and a half, hour and 35 minutes. You can, if you didn't bring a computer and you want to work on your homework, you can open up these things, log in with your student information. MATLAB should be on the computers, or like, I know the internet is, that's where MATLAB is. What the fuck am I saying? So you should be able to log in and work on it and do stuff like that if you want to work here. If you don't want to do homework here, you can go home and work at home. No one's making you stay. Up to you guys. I will be here until the last student's ready to leave.
So will the homework assignment be something like this, or will we have a question? And be like,
Yeah, there's like, I think there was like 11 questions in 1.1 or something like that. There's only 5 in 1.3, and 1.5 only has a few questions. I think we counted them the other day, there was 25 questions between all 3 of the assignments. I don't remember how many the quiz had. I'm gonna hit stop recording because there's no point in just fucking recording me sitting here looking like a champion.